Happy fucking Friday.
Trillions.
It's 9 p.m. on a Friday. Get
Trillions.
It's
10:30.
We're going to high. Let's go.
It's 10:30 on a Friday.
I
I know. I feel like I'm singing karaoke in soul. I'm holding the microphone. I'm
What are you
white
doing
knuckling
with that thing? This guy's
I'm ready. I'm ready to
this
sing
guy's ripping
karaoke
it.
into this.
Yes, sir. Market goes
Happy
up 1.5%. Vibes are up.
Happy
Totally
Plasma launch. Happy Mira launch.
Big day for the boys today. Going live with Paul, CEO of Plasma. Welcome back to Rollup TV. Friday, September 26th. I'm Andy. It's your boy Rob here. He's live from Korea. I'm back home in the States. And we're going to be interviewing Paul from Plasma. Our fund invested in Plasma maybe like 8 months ago. They've done very well, executed top notch, probably the best launch of the entire year, if not the last 2 years. So stoked to talk to Paul. Shouts to them. Then we got 𝘗𝘳𝗏 from Mira, also a friend of the show. And our fund invested in Mira. They launched their mainnet today. We invested in them a while ago, maybe about a year ago. They did well. I tweeted about it. Stoked on that. So 2 good interviews today. It's going to be a fun stream. It'll be a shorter one. It'll be a vibe. And yeah, state of affairs in the market today is people are scared. So I don't really see a need to be scared, but people are scared. Rob?
I saw a tweet from Kobe. It said, you see 333x on a platform and you think everyone can just be an accredited investor. It's not the way it's not the way angel investing works.
Yo,
be careful. Do your research.
Do your research.
Do your research. We did both of these deals. Seed investing is hard. Angel investing is hard.
Yeah.
Somehow we make it look easy. We've had our share of losses.
Let's see what the chat's gonna say. Come on. Let's get some vibes going down here. We got more base app codes to give away. We've got, we got things going on.
Let's make sure that we got the overlays. I think we got some tips that should be flying in. Don't see them on the stream. That's a word to our producer behind the scenes. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get Paul set up. Happy Friday. It's been a long week, honestly. We just had so many banger streams, and the market's just been all over. We announced Base, we announced 𝘗𝘯𝘵 this week, 2 just massive brands.
Crazy that was just this same week that we're still in. Feels like a year ago. It feels like so long ago at this point.
Yeah, for sure. And that was Tuesday.
That was Tuesday. Now it's Friday.
Yeah.
I had another breakthrough about Korea. Just a realization.
Mm-hmm.
At my podcast this morning with TJ Miller, he was like, "Oh, what?" We were talking about Korea, and we both said that like we really like it, and it was kind of like, yeah, like people, they're nice, they're friendly, it's safe, it's clean, everything's great, but it's also like rather affordable, but also really nice, and everything is super modern. And so it just got me thinking, like, how are they able to like make some of these upgrades to their infrastructure without pricing in those upgrades? And I think, and it kind of like the word that came to mind is like efficiency. Like they've got to be just a really efficient group of people that when they work together, they're able to like get shit done really quickly and really efficiently without expending too much in resources as a way of like getting shit done, but also keeping costs down and therefore not passing costs to the end consumer. And then I was sitting at dinner and I saw these like waiters and waitresses that would like, you would get their attention and then they would literally run over to you.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I've seen that. That's like kind of like a, an Eastern, Asian kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at a certain point, dude, those little like time savings from running over to you, do those add up? And like,
to create more efficiency. It's hilarious. So it's been a good experience. So, like you had a good interview with TJ, the guy from Silicon Valley.
TJ's hilarious. Such a character.
And that Dodge.OS project is hilarious too.
It is hilarious. And I like the way that TJ describes it. He describes it as a real thing built on top of a fake thing that enables more real and fake things.
Oh my goodness, dude. TJ.
Yeah, so he kind of told the story of how these two guys met, or how him and the 𝘗𝘁 founder met. They met. It was like some loud bar at a club, but he was like, "Oh, Dogecoin." He was like, "I get it. It's a joke. I get it."
Yep.
And then it kind of just fueled like, all right, Dogecoin, it's a joke. It's kind of like this fake thing, but 𝘗𝘁 is like the smart contract and wallet layer on top of Dogecoin. Meanwhile, just an aside, Dogecoin is the second longest proof of work chain ever. I think longer than Litecoin. So, it's fake in some very, very significant ways, but it's also very real in other very significant ways, which is just is interesting when it comes to the technology side of things. And then 𝘗𝘁 obviously extends that technology and makes it more real. So, I explained my interplanetary thesis for Dogecoin and why I think it's poised to be the reserve currency of an interplanetary species.
No way.
They seem to like that. And actually, to quote Jordan, the 𝘗𝘁 founder, he says it's inevitable. So,
oh my gosh, dude.
It'll be a fun interview. Yeah, we'll be sharing that one pretty soon.
All righty, Rob. Well, that sounds good, man. I think we got Paul ready to rock and roll. Paul Fax, the founder of Plasma, big successful mainnet launch just happened. Yeah, I bet it's been a journey for them to get to this point. The last couple weeks probably been wild as well. So we're looking forward to having them on. Give him Paul some confetti and a congratulations. Just figuring out what they're trying to do. They have a lot to build out now and scale it up. And yeah, here we go with Paul. XPL obviously launched, has been kind of sucked the liquidity out of the market after Aster. I mean, Aster was like the hot thing, and then Plasma came out, and I think it really kind of sucked the liquidity from a lot of places. People were expecting kind of a big move. That's what they got. So yeah, guys, should be a fun conversation. I bet Paul is tired. I see him in the back. He's up. Paul, welcome to the show.
Tired to see you. I don't know, like I'm looking at my own video and I do look quite tired, but it's good to see you guys.
Man, talk to us about the last couple days, man. How's it been?
It's been intense. I mean, the entire week was intense, right? Because there's so many moving pieces involved in kind of launching a chain, not launching a network. Because in the end, you're dependent on like so many external variables that are like not fully within your control. And so it's been a very intense week. It's knock on wood, so far everything has gone well, and so we're very happy. But I mean, everyone was quite exhausted yesterday night for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, the most strenuous part seems to be by you now. Is that how you're thinking about this?
No, not at all. Okay. I think the most strenuous part is ahead of us now. I mean, we announced the Plasma One product, obviously pre-launching the chain and working on that, and it feels like, I mean, this is now basically like the beginning of actually kind of truly building what we've always set out to build, and obviously the chain and the DeFi ecosystem and the exchange component and all of that is a massive component. But God, we have a lot of things to do in the next years.
Paul, how old are you again? 26?
I'm 26. Yes.
Yeah, just like me, crazy, man. Yeah. Well, congratulations. We know the struggles that happen in mainnet launches. It's not easy. We'll throw you some confetti. We want to kind of understand your vision going forward, how you're thinking about the product line, how you're thinking about the chain. Obviously, there's a lot of activity on Plasma already due to the pre-deposit setup. And I think one thing before we kind of move too far looking ahead, why did you guys decide to do the structure around this kind of like XPL allocation to people who deposited? That has gone viral. The whole, if you did $1 into the chain, you got $10,000. Now, obviously, people didn't do that exact thing in 𝘂𝘁, at scale, but a lot of people got rewarded, and I think you avoided a lot of the FUD that comes with these kind of mechanisms. How did you guys pull that off, and why did you guys choose this way to kind of reward the Plasma community and the Plasma collective?
Sure. I mean, I think for us, and I mean, I think this is somewhat in line with how we've operated generally, right? Where I mean, the public sale on like very clear, very kind of transparent kind of parameters, basically. Anyone could participate, and we like for us, it's been important to kind of go to market in a capacity where like participation is possible, basically, I mean, Nathan, who you also know extremely well, who was kind of leading the stablecoin collective side of things, who's been absolutely killing it on that, by the way. And like I think we've always wanted to like, in the end, this is a massively community-driven effort, right? Well, like a stablecoin chain specifically is something that you want people to be excited to use, and you want to like actually like. It needs to be grassroots, basically, for it to kind of truly work and have value. And I think the decisions that were made on kind of token allocation and token distribution, I think, that kind of fall within that ethos, basically.
Well, I hope you know it's a consensus that this has been the best launch of the year, if not the cycle. So a little pat on your back for the efforts. And I think people were excited about seeing the rewards come in and being like, okay, cool. Like they actually thought about strategically how to kind of keep even, let's call it like the smaller fish happy and keep people, you know, wanting to be a part of the network. Let's talk about some of what's actually happening on the chain right now. There's some amazing yields on Aave, Athena, Athena's USDE. There's looping going on. There's XPL rewards. You know, I think the main thing people want to know is where are the best places to get yield on Plasma now? Kind of how does that, you know, ecosystem looking? I just kind of gave some answers there with with Aave and Athena. And then, I mean, my question is kind of like, how are you thinking about the sustainability of the yields on Plasma with regards to XPL token rewards? How do you want to kind of turn this into something where this isn't just like a farm and dump scenario? This is a kind of a longer term community who wants to participate in DeFi on Plasma. So maybe you could just unpack the kind of current happenings and how you're thinking about it.
Sure, absolutely. I think that's a very valid question, right? But I mean, I think you do have plenty of examples of these kind of very large private deal, TVL for hire, massive DeFi kind of pre-committed TVL, and then kind of nothing happens. And I think we're very conscious of kind of that and entire complexity of it. I think for us, we always know that like distribution is absolutely key to actually getting kind of basically omnipresence, which you need omnipresence as a stablecoin network, right? Because I mean the word network is like you need as many nodes in the network as possible for it to have value, right? I think one thing that actually people may have missed because it was right before launch is our kind of pretty substantial and expanded Binance Earn partnership, where users in Binance, which we're doing together with Aave, who we love working with, and they're valued and fantastic partners of ours. And I mean, Binance has 280 million users, and they can now deposit into Aave on Plasma, basically straight on exchange. Which I think for us is a massive unlock. And so in general, we're looking for ways to kind of get to very large scale distribution to kind of make on-chain money markets basically usable for anyone that kind of sees value in it. And I think that to an extent, you need to kind of branch out from just the crypto native mercenary pharma community, because that doesn't scale infinitely well, and they're quite fickle, and so you can't really build an entire strategy just around that. And so that's something we spend a lot of time on. I think that actually, sorry, don't want this to seem like I'm answering a fully different question than the one you asked. No. But to bring this back to kind of Plasma DeFi and how and why it's sustainable. I think a big component of that obviously is you need true organic usage, right? That isn't paid for, and that isn't just pure incentive farming, but you do need wide distribution and kind of real demand to use the chain to an extent, and so I think that is something we've done pretty well at, and it's something we continue to be very focused on.
It's been a unique strength. Like this is something that chains go live and they launch their token. Then they start thinking about their ecosystem. They start using their token as a way of incentivizing liquidity. You guys were able to do that before the token launched. I guess what did you guys have that others don't? And
the best team in all of crypto.
And so that's a moat. Like my next question was, do you expect other teams to now try and replicate that, but they can't get your team?
Yes, I mean, look, I would hope so. But otherwise, I would need to have some stern conversations. But in the end, I truly believe that we have a truly incredible team. And I think whoever I name here wouldn't do kind of job because I couldn't name everyone basically. But I mean, specifically Lucid, who's the best crypto COO on planet Earth, and Nathan is fantastic, and Vinny is killing it, and I'm starting to name people here because I'm definitely going to miss some, but I truly think that is a massive moat, and I think having incredibly sharp, very long-term oriented people that actually kind of want to build something of value, I think is truly the greatest moat any company can have.
Beautiful, Paul. Well, Paul, then on that note, with regards to thinking about how others are playing in this game, I had 𝘗𝘳𝗧𝗓 on the show last week, and we were talking about how Circle's thinking about ARK and their chain, as well as just the broad USDC distribution strategy. There are now several other players from the likes of Stripe, from the likes of Circle, from also within Tether that are trying to basically attempt to be this stablecoin transfer layer for the world. I mean, when we look at comps, we're thinking about Visa, we're thinking about some of the largest payment processors in the world who have market caps of $50+ billion and process trillions a day. And so when I was talking to Jeremy about it, he thought about this in the lens that he wants USDC to be everywhere. He wants it to be in the same way that Netflix is on smart TVs, smartphones, smart fridges. He wants USDC to be everywhere. Now, I assume Paulo clearly has that same philosophy and has executed on it extremely well in a global setting. When it came to ARK and the chain thought process, he mentioned that he looks at this as the evolution of kind of Web 2 technology, where you can use Google Chrome on your Apple computer. You can use it on your Apple TV. You can use it on your iPad. You can also use a streaming service on an LG TV or a Samsung TV, or a Google Chromebook can use Apple products, etc. So he kind of made this analogy and about how these are kind of going to blend together into this whole broader landscape of this tech stack. And he had this really grow the pie mentality. So I want to pass it to you. When you're thinking about this stablecoin chain wars, if you will, how are you thinking about the competitive landscape when it comes to Plasma, being the category leader, being the first to market? What is your edge? And why in the scope of this kind of grow the pie mentality, do you feel like Plasma is going to contribute heavily?
Sure. I mean, it's a complete meme to say this, but I think stablecoins are kind of truly at the kind of beginning, an inflection point to an extent, right? But I mean, you now have 270 billion in outstanding stablecoins. We say trillions a lot. I think that is going to be trillions. And so I think you do have a kind of massively expanding pie. And so I truly think that the vast majority of stablecoin growth is basically in the future and not in the past. And I think that's kind of a massive component of how we think about competition. It's changed a lot how we think about that, right? Because I mean, for us, when we started, the question wasn't basically how are you going to compete with Stripe, but the question was basically why does any of what you're doing here make sense, basically, and why would stablecoins need a chain, and why is this interesting, and just use Ethereum, and so it's been very gratifying to see how kind of the perception of what the competitive forces we have to deal with, how that has changed, and I think that reflects reality, right? I mean, we do now compete with Stripe, which is one of the largest payment companies in the world. And I think in the end, I think we're going for different things. And I think that there's kind of different approaches here. And so I think probably kind of, I don't actually even think we're super competitive with Tempo directly, and so I think it's going to be an absolute kind of war to really win this at massive scale, and no one has. I truly, I don't think Ethereum and Tron have won at scale, because I think what at scale means now, I think won't mean at scale in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, basically. And so I do think you will have stablecoin chains with hundreds of billions of stablecoins on them, and truly kind of trillions moving every day. And I think that is the future we're building for. And so we try not to get into the kind of pettiness of what is Tempo doing, what is Codex doing, what is I have deep respect for those teams. I think they're very sharp, and I think they're going after different things to an extent.
Yeah, and another step function change has been in the competitive forces that you're describing has been the acceptance of trillions, and this is part of the U.S. government having to finance their debt essentially, and leveraging stablecoin companies as a way and a means to issue that debt. And so it's been the acceptance now that stablecoins will reach trillions in circulating supplies. I'm curious, more generally, what are the knock-on effects of an ecosystem that has trillions of stablecoins? You know, there's been guys like Arthur Hayes that have kind of equated this to some massive multiples in some DeFi applications, but more specifically to some of the DeFi apps that are on Plasma and the way in which you're seeing these competitive forces evolve. How do you think the landscape will change, and what will it look like? What's the point A, point B between now and that trillions state, which isn't, I'm not even going to call it an end state because it'll probably grow from there, but you know, that being point B, how do you think that landscape shifts from where it is today?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty complex question. Because it involves kind of so many layers of change in the end. I have very strong conviction that like the world you describe is going to come into reality, basically, and I think we're very focused on that. I think the path to that is going to be a complex one to navigate. I mean, especially in the US, I think there's a realization how important stablecoins are strategically as a country, right? I mean, you have Scott Bessent talking about stablecoins kind of being one of the key strategic components of kind of global USD monetary policy, basically, because you do need someone who's just a price indifferent purchaser of your debt. And so I think I can go into a 30-minute rant here on like how this all is connected to global politics and USD strength, and I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I do think that is reality. And I think stablecoins actually do solve a lot of issues and provide a lot of unlock in many places.
And the market seems to take that as a given now. I think my question more specifically is, how does that affect the on-chain landscape as these things become more and more integrated?
Sure, I think the lines just get blurry, right? I mean, you're seeing this. I mean, it's funny because I mean, the two things have kind of been multi-year memes that hadn't really happened until I think kind of recently, which is on one hand the institutions are coming, and on the other hand the kind of DeFi mullet of like CeFi in the front and DeFi in the back. And I think both have kind of been talked about for probably, I mean, 5, 6, 7. Like I've spent all of my life in crypto, so like I've lost perception of time. But I do think both of those things are now very, very kind of happening in a very real way. And you're seeing that. I mean, Coinbase now has a yield product that kind of routes to an on-chain product, and Binance now does with us and Aave together. And I think you'll see more of those types of things, but I think you'll have kind of centralized kind of trad interfaces that are powered by kind of on-chain processes in the back. And I think that is also truly where the unlock is, where I think you'll have kind of a mix between kind of on-chain only and then kind of the combination of TradFi and on-chain. And so that's something we're quite focused on kind of getting right as Plasma.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely think that's the right way to think about it. And that's probably why you guys really put a lot of effort into thinking about this Plasma One product, right? Because when you've got this idea of, what's great about this is that it's unsexy. It's stablecoins, it's cross-border payments, it's banking the unbanked, it's giving people access to a strong US dollar across the world when they need it the most. And crypto's really kind of coming together around these use cases again, as we were as we were promised in 2017. I know you were around then. That's what we were all focused
but
on.
I think that the kind of the core tenets of, I think, why crypto has value. I think permissionless money is very high up on that list, and I think it just took a bit longer than most people expected, but I think it's happening now.
So let's talk to us about the Plasma One app and the neobank. What is the vision here? If you could go out 5 years from now and read a headline about Plasma One app, what would that headline say? What's the vision here for this app? How do you want to execute this?
Sure. I think stablecoins as kind of a core rail are the kind of perfect tech stack to build something consumer facing and very tangible around. And for us, on one hand, it's obviously a kind of distribution wedge, and on the other hand, it truly, I think, makes for a meaningfully better just user experience for someone that's using financial tooling. I mean, as a longtime user of stablecoins myself, I live in systems that actually have pretty robust banking, right? And that have kind of actually relatively fantastic access to financial technology and all of that. But I think that isn't true in the majority of the world. And so I think you can build kind of a meaningfully better experience than on chat banking rails if you build things on stablecoins. And so that is where we're building Plasma One to an extent, also to kind of show what's possible with stablecoins. I mean, we work with lots of fantastic companies that are building on top of Plasma themselves, and we don't we're not looking to not do that, right? Because I think that has immense value, obviously, and so it's also a just kind of very tangible example of you can build truly incredible kind of products on stablecoin rails as the core, obviously using Plasma.
Could you say a bit more about this distribution wedge? Because I think I understand the concept, but I haven't quite heard anyone frame it in the way that you just did. Maybe you could explain that concept a little bit and how you guys are applying it.
Sure, absolutely. I think in the end, I mean, we're building a stablecoin chain, and that is highly dependent on network effects. You need to be omnipresent, and you need to basically have extremely wide reach from the B2B angle to the B2C side of things. You basically need, that's actually something that Tron excels at or has excelled at, is kind of getting true end user distribution. And so that is something that's critical for us to get right. And for us, that is the path to get there is to have something very tangible to actually use Plasma itself, basically. And Plasma One is that's at least a component of why we are building Plasma One.
Yeah. Would you say another part of it is around the UX of Plasma's chain? The way that it was designed is theoretically and practically far superior to that of a typical crypto UX from the Plasma One app user base. Because if I'm thinking about users in Turkey, in Syria, in Brazil, Argentina, a lot of Tether's target markets where that's quite dominant as far as USDT being the stable coin. These people aren't going to be wanting to deal with seed phrases and wanting to be dealing with all these different approvals, and they want free transfers. They want to be able to send it to their family easily, seamlessly, and also safely. There's a part of it where they want privacy, and they want to, there's a beauty in maybe being able to pull back funds. I know that's not exactly how blockchains work, but the traditional payment system has some advantages. Maybe the UX and part of the app design is going to be, very much focused on that, or, I'm
100%.
sure it is.
No, 100%. I mean, I think you're as a fantastic Plasma One pitch. You just gave. So
This guy, dude.
I'm in full support of this.
All right, so Paul, I want to talk some comps. I know we just got a couple minutes. I think Visa is trading at, in 50, 60 billion. I think if you look at some of the other payment processors handling trillions, they're up there. people are curious about how XPL is going to have some sort of value accrual, is going to be able to be a active force in the network. A lot of people are excited about revenue and buybacks right now. That's kind of probably a flash in the pan, but still we can see that the crypto economic systems are evolving, and I think, frankly, for the better. And so I'm not asking about where XPL is going to go, or just more about how you're thinking about it. How is XPL going to be a sustainable asset that people who want to comp to Circle, comp to other public stocks as well as public companies, and they look at XPL as the best way to get stablecoin exposure. These are my words, not yours, not financial advice. How do you think about actually making that a reality for your XPL holders? What do you have to say to them here today?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, that is something we've thought about a lot. I think for us it's very clear that like in the plasma economy, XPL has to play a very central role, because I think you don't want the Uniswap-esque situation, right, where you have like a confusing amount of entities that like each accrue some value, and like no one kind of truly knows. I think that is in the end not kind of the correct path to take. There's a lot of complexity in this, obviously, and it's something we've spent a lot of time on, and then we'll kind of I think elaborate more on publicly as well. And so it's somewhat tough for me to kind of give a very clear, very straight answer. But I think the one thing that, like, for us, and I mean we've kind of built this entire system in a very community aligned way, right? And I think we will continue to do that, and I think that obviously also as a kind of central tenet of this kind of needs to involve the XPL token.
Beautiful. I got one last thing for you, and I think Rob might have something as well. Paulo put a tweet, the co-founder of Tether. During an interview, a guy asked me, as an entrepreneur, my mission is bringing my startup from 0 to 1. He was citing Peter Thiel's book. Tether is not a startup anymore. At which stage from 0 to 100 is Tether? He replied, I feel like we're still at 0.25. Our potential growth from here is limitless. So much more to disrupt through innovation, so much more to build. Once people understand the real master plan behind every single calculated action we take daily, they realize the true unprecedented potential of this company. That's the way I often define Tether, as a once-in-a-century company. Tether is also going out and looking to raise from the rumor mill at $500 billion valuation, looking to raise $20 billion. In addition to that, the CFTC has approved stablecoins for settlement on traditional American derivatives markets. How important is Tether to Plasma's vision? Maybe a silly question. And then how important is this broad, relationship that you have with Paulo, pushing stablecoins forward in the White House? How impactful is that for Plasma?
I mean, one thing to say straight off the bat, if Tether is at 0.25, then I think Plasma is at 0.0001, and we have a lot of things ahead of us. And
sounds bullish.
I mean, look, like the guys of Tether have obviously kind of built a truly generational company, and have done that over many years with a lot of kind of extremely long-term oriented decision making, and so I think that is something that we can only hope to emulate as Plasma. I think USDT has very much won the stablecoin game, is my view. I'm somewhat incentivized to have that view, so you can probably discount that a bit, but I truly think that is the reality of it. And so for us, it was always very clear that Plasma would also be built around USDT. I mean, we have a kind of multitude of stablecoins on the chain, and I do believe in a kind of multi-stablecoin world, obviously, but Tether is just so incredibly dominant and has this extremely wide distribution mode that I think is very, very hard to replicate, and so we do appreciate them, and really like working with them. And I mean, I have the deepest of respect for Paulo and the entire Tether crew.
Yeah, as do we. Paul, my last question is, there's so much that happens on a daily basis and in crypto and across this entire industry, that someone might be coming across Plasma. It's a super successful launch. what's the one thing that you would want someone who's just coming across Plasma to know, and where can they go to learn more?
I mean, everyone can go to learn more at plasma.to. I think one thing that I would want everyone to know is we will win stablecoins, and I think stablecoins are going to be one of the largest, just markets globally, point blank. The TAM is global GDP, and we're looking to take a chunk of it, and I think that vision is very clear on our end. I think global commerce will move on stablecoin rails, and Plasma is going to power it.
Boom.
Powering internet money.
Indeed.
Paul, thanks for joining the show.
Good luck. Have a good weekend. All right. Have a beer for me in London if you get 5 minutes off. Take a breath, man.
I'm my plan is just to sleep, to be honest. So
okay, great.
I don't think many beers will be consumed.
All right.
All right,
enjoy.
Buddy. Well, thanks for your time, and congratulations on the launch. And to all the partners, to all the investors, to all the people in the collective and in the community, thank you for your work. A lot to be done. This is a new day one. This is just the beginning. I know that's how you're thinking about it. So stoked to see some of the updates from Plasma One and everything else in between. And we'll see you soon, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Alrighty, Paul.
Thanks,
Peace,
Paul.
buddy.
Perfect.
See you
Speak soon.
Later. Bang, Rob. Stablecoin super cycle is on, man. Is it or what? Wow.
I think it's funny. He said Paolo and Tether won the stablecoin game.
Mm.
And then he said that Plasma will win stablecoins.
Yeah, I mean, one could do some deductive reasoning there. I mean, look, my key takeaways here is that Jeremy is saying that the stablecoin pie is to grow the pie. Paul is saying the same thing. They both don't want to come off as like super, pushing, and kind of downplaying their competition and, being that figure. But it's clear that like this market is only getting bigger exponentially. And I think one thing that Paul didn't hit on that I think he has a massive edge in, that it will obviously be eroded as time passes, is that they are first. Like they are live. Like their app is going to be live. Their chain is live. They can just start growing the network effects far quicker. And I know that that's not always the edge that, people look for and that, you can ascribe value to. But being first is an edge. And I think that's something that obviously these guys did well by actually pushing it forward and being, the first. Honestly, I can't even imagine what's happening in Tether's HQ right now in Lugano. I know Paul and the Plasma team spends a lot of time there, and a lot of the other kind of Tether corollary teams do. Like that must just be an absolute madness zone right now. Like think about it. They're buying farms in Latin America. They're investing into Bitcoin soccer teams. They're raising. Like like their time has come. I mean, it's just it must be mad over there.
I think of it just in my imagination as more of a mecca than a madness. Like people are going there. They're like, they're kind of meeting, and it's a place where like shit gets done. And it doesn't strike me as something that's like super like hectic or chaotic. It strikes me as something that's like pretty strategic and calculated. I don't think they're buying too many farms in Latin America. I think maybe they're dipping their toes, but
you don't think they're just aping cows?
Not super core to their strategy.
Like Fede from Lambda, he always writes buy Bitcoin, gold, and cows. And I have a friend down there in Paraguay, a good friend who, his girlfriend's family, who's Paraguayan, they just buy cows as a way to store their value. Like that's the thing that, again, that we could have touched on more, is that Tether's market and Plasma's market is like, DeFi with wealthy whales on chain, like the DCF gods of the world, those guys cooking, bringing tons of value, bringing them. But it's really like, get this Plasma One app, and this goes for all stablecoins and all stablecoin chains. Get a user interface that is easy. Get that thing into every country that needs help from an economic perspective. Offer them easy access and democratize access to USD, and then just do that at scale. And like the network effects are just going to be exponential. Then when you think about like actually inside of crypto, it's more of like, can they get Plasma into every centralized exchange as a blockchain to transact on, right? So you got Ethereum, Tron, Arbitrum, Optimism, Solana, Sui, Avalanche, a couple others like that you can send to, chains from Base, right? Plasma should be the go-to for USDT. Another thing, just to kind of close off this monologue, is I think the Binance Earn thing is interesting because as Paul said, this distribution wedge is the only way to kind of make the network effect happen. And Binance is one. Then it goes into like, okay, you go into the biggest exchange in Turkey. Then you go into the leading payment processor in Brazil, Pix. You onboard Pix to Tether somehow, and then all of a sudden the Brazilians can save in dollars and use their reais to transfer, in a domestic fashion. So it's like these distribution wedges, they can be won, but they're typically won by one team, I think, at
Right.
least. And I think Tether is that team, and then hopefully Plasma can be, the actual, US.
It'll be interesting to see if it plays out where it's a like winner takes most market.
Yeah.
One thing I'm noticing about Korea in particular is that it's very vertically integrated. Come out
Okay.
here, don't really take Uber. You don't really like Google Maps will show you a place, but it won't give you a route. Apple Maps won't even show you the place. Everything is Kakao. And so it's Kakao Maps, it's Kakao Taxi. It's all vertically integrated. And so there, on the one hand, like you're right, like, this paves the way where if you can partner with these verticalized platforms and use those platforms as your distribution wedge, then you win that entire market. But then, the other side of this, and again, this is kind of why that question about, the landscape, the competitive forces in the landscape and how this is going to play out is a very complicated question. Because on the other hand, you could say like these guys are going to go, they're going to build their own chain. Like the Kakaos of the world, the Pixes of the world, like they're going to go build their own chain. They're going to want to have ownership and vertically integrate it themselves. So how that shakes out, we'll see. I think there's plenty of the pie for them to start to eat up now as it pertains to the on-chain economy, the centralized exchanges. And then one thing that you mentioned in that monologue is something that I tend to agree with, is that you kind of approach the demographic from both ends of the spectrum, and it meets in the middle at that frontier, which is something that's only possible with on-chain internet money. And that's the idea of composable yields. And so you currently have like the cattle ranchers in Paraguay or Argentina that they not only do they need access to save in dollars and have a stable currency, and this is not even on their radars, is the second piece of that is the ability to then earn a stable 4%. So us in DeFi and people in CeFi and an entire asset class of fixed income and private credit and RWAs is all focused on yield. And so that demographic has already realized like the ability and access to get dollars. They're now focused on that second part. But the democratization of crypto and the industry collapses that. And so it's the same technology that can deliver a dollar to someone around the world is the same technology that can deliver a dollar plus yield to anyone around the world. And so I think that is just kind of like another piece of kind of it. I mean, it's certainly not a public good, but I think it's just a general like boost to the economic well-being of people on Earth.
Yeah.
Just quite.
We had a question from chat. When will Plasma open the basis trade vault? I just heard back from the team, guys. They are going to be doing that very, very soon. TM. So get ready for that. That should be coming. And yeah, I mean, that is, Rob, I think what you're saying here is like, the access to the dollar in a global setting is extremely valuable. The Western world is currently kind of working around how to get yield across to people and how to best actually bring yield to back to the shareholder. So USDH was all about giving yield back to the Hyperliquid Assistance Fund, right? We know there are stable coins being launched that are going to try to undercut Tether in the US market, undercut Circle in the US market, and pay back some yield to their holders. That's okay. That's allowed in the Genius Act as of now. But what I think is more important is that the people around the world, they don't even necessarily care about the yield right now. They just want access. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at here.
Exactly. And access is the primary the primary thing that's in demand.
It's
right?
the use case. It is the use case. Yes,
absolutely.
Like, and then you extrapolate that to equities and to trading U.S. stocks, 24/7. If we get that, I mean, I wish we had some more time to talk about what it means for Plasma if stable coins are able to be transacted in U.S. derivatives markets. Could that be settled on Plasma, or like is that going to settle
just
on
another
Ethereum?
Centralized exchange, right?
Yeah, like how will you exactly, like that's just another distribution wedge, right?
It's a great question.
And so more to come, guys. I mean, it's a Friday. I mean, I'm happy having a short stream today. Our boys are happy about basis. Looks like they're all good. Guys, if you have some questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We are checking the chat on YouTube. The link is in the Twitter description. And yeah, Rob, maybe we can cover some of the latest news that's came out this morning. I got
one for you. Kraken has raised $500 million at a $15 billion valuation.
Wow. As of this morning.
As of minutes ago. Believe that's confirmed.
500 million.
Yeah. What's your reaction?
Wow. At 15 bill.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, sounds like an IPO to me. Coming. This is a pre-IPO raise, in my opinion. Yep.
And why is it important? There's speculation that Tether is doing the same thing. That's why they're raising 20 at 500 bill. What's the purpose of raising around, pretty soon before launching an IPO?
Well, just think about it. It's you want to get the most strategic investors possible who are going to support the launch of the IPO. It's like the same thing as it's almost like a KOL round in crypto.
Before a token
launch. It's like they just did a KOL round. It's basically what happened.
These guys will get short
think about it. Like if it's distribution, if it's market making, if it's partners, if it's important strategic people that they want to get in to own Kraken shares. Our friends over at Vertex got acquired by Inc. and Kraken, and they've also, been allocated shares from what I understand, which means that, there's a solid amount of capital like congregating in this area. So is there any more details on the raise outside of just the mention from who was leading, or is there any details?
Let's see if we can find details.
Yeah. Kraken, man, what an OG.
Kraken is one of my first centralized exchanges. When I found the tweet, Watcher Guru, I've got,
Yep.
They're usually pretty bullish biased, but we don't mind.
Yep. So it just says that they raised.
It just says 500 mil at 15 bill valuation. Did Kraken tweet about it? It'd be nice to know the investors.
I do not know yet. They've just been tweeting their recent launches and whatnot as of now.
Soon and Mira.
Yeah.
Two good ideas.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Rob. I think we should just close this out. Have it a short stream. I think it's getting late over there for you. It's been a good week. I'm glad that we just did we were supposed to have the Mira guys on, but they're dealing with classic mainnet stuff. So I think we're in a good place to wrap here. Guys, thanks for tuning in. That was a fun conversation with Paul. Big launch for them this week. Once again, we'll throw them a little confetti. Congrats to the Plasma team. And also, congrats to the Mira team for their launches, 2 portcos of ours. Been a successful week. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I think it's time to sign off for Monday.
Cheers, guys. Have a good weekend.
Peace.